In this segment, I'll be going over biometrics as it relates to identification and authentication. I'll begin by going over the basic definition. Biometrics is the statistical analysis of people's physical and behavioral characteristics. CompTIA breaks these up into something you are for physiological and something you do for behavioral. These different traits can be used to uniquely identify an individual in order to authenticate them to a resource, system, network, or facility. The physiological characteristics of an individual are things like a person's fingerprint, hand geometry, facial recognition, as well as retina or iris scanning. The retina, which is the back portion of the eye containing capillaries, is unique to every individual. Retinal scans tend to be considered more invasive due to the scan having to read further into the eye for a longer period of time. They also require the individual to be much closer to the biometric reader, like somewhere between 3 and 10 inches. The iris is the colored portion of the eye that controls the dilation of the pupil. This type of scan is considered just as accurate as a retinal scan, much less invasive, and it also does not require such close proximity to the reader. Now, for personal use or for a corporate enterprise network, it's always very popular for companies or individuals to buy laptops that come with built-in fingerprint scanners. Most smart devices these days come with the option to authenticate with a fingerprint or even facial recognition. Let's see, even Disney World is getting in on the next generation of technology. When a Disney guest presents their pass at the turnstile, they're asked to insert the pass into a reader as well as perform a fingerprint scan with their pointer and middle finger. The next characteristic of biometrics we're going to talk about is behavioral. These are not directly related to the physiological makeup of an individual, but fall under the category of biometrics. CompTIA categorizes these behavioral characteristics as something you do. This includes typing rhythm, also known as keystroke analysis, gait analysis, as well as voice printing. Keystroke analysis measures the speed and accuracy at which a user types a password or passphrase. Voice printing measures all of the characteristics of a human voice to include the sound, pitch, and inflection in order to uniquely identify that person. Gait analysis is the measure of an individual's walk, weight, and heel strike all together. So it's very difficult to emulate all of these factors perfectly, which is what makes these different characteristics a very good way to authenticate users to a network. Now, calibrating biometrics machines is very important. So to correctly calibrate them, they have to be reliable. And when it comes to the calibration of the biometric equipment, it's important to determine the false rejection and false acceptance rate. So the false rejection rate, or type 1, is the measure of the likelihood that a biometric system will incorrectly reject an authorized user. A type 2 error, which is the false acceptance rate, is the measure of the likelihood that a biometric system will incorrectly accept an unauthorized user. So the FRR and FAR are used to determine the crossover error rate. So this is the point where the FRR and FAR are equal, which gives us the most accurate results from our biometric equipment. A lot goes into the setup and configuration of a biometric system. However, it can be very effective when implemented properly. So, as always, I hope you found this informative, and thank you for joining me.